Holy cow, this changes everything. Ron DeSantis, the 46th governor of Florida, has just ordered an executive order to utilize the National Guard to help with the disruption of ports within Florida. Now, he's not trying to stop the disruption. He's trying to mitigate it and to try and allow the flow to enter Florida and to get to citizens of not only Florida, but the United States. Now, what I'm going to do for you guys, we're going to read this executive order, and then I'm going to play you guys the entire interview, the entire speech that Ron DeSantis has about what is happening, what he wants to do, and the implications of it. So let me read this real quick, and then I'll play that clip for you. Today, Governor Ron DeSantis issued Executive Order 24212 and Executive Order EO 24213. Governor DeSantis also directed the Department of Business and Professional Regulation, DBPR, to issue Order 202409, Executive Order 24213, issues directives to the Florida National Guard, Florida State Guard, Department of Transportation, and Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles to take certain actions, and that's important, to mitigate potential disruption caused by ongoing port strikes to the supply chain and those recovering from Hurricane Helene. Executive Order 24212 pertains to actions to ensure election activities are not disrupted by Hurricane Helene. DBPR Order 2024-9 pertains to alleviating rental length restrictions for individuals seeking shelter who lost their homes due to Hurricane Helene. So we have a lot going on right now. It looks like Ron DeSantis, it's almost on the political side of things and economical side of things. In no way, shape, or form did I know you could even use the National Guard to do something like this. But again, it's very vague on what exactly the National Guard can do. It's not like they can just show up to the port and are like, okay, we're going to start offloading things. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. But nonetheless, what I want to do right now is I'm going to play the clip from Ron DeSantis, and he's going to say exactly what's going to happen.
My direction, the Florida National Guard and Florida State Guard will be deployed to critical ports affected to maintain order and, if possible, resume operations which would otherwise be shut down during this interruption. Florida Department of Transportation is coordinating calls with seaport, rail, and trucking partners to ensure that all are prepared and positioned appropriately to limit disruptions to the supply chain and other areas should this continue. I'm also directing Florida Department of Transportation to temporarily waive the collection of tolls and other fees for commercial vehicles using public highways in Florida and waiving the size and weight restrictions normally governing vehicle transportation for the duration of this emergency. This will help expedite the movement of goods that have been impacted from seaports to intermodal logistics centers, distribution centers, and delivery points, and very well may help offset additional costs incurred by operation during this period. Finally, I'm directing the Florida Highway Patrol to manage the flow of traffic from all Florida seaports and adjacent roads and highways as needed to further expedite the flow of goods that are currently being held up. This will include the provision of law enforcement escorts for commercial motor vehicles by FHP officers upon request. And I would say that this is something that would have significant impacts on the nation's economy anyways, but to have this happen in a way that could negatively impact people that are reeling from a Category 4 hurricane, that is just simply unacceptable. So it really is incumbent upon the Biden-Harris administration to do everything in their power to ensure that these goods are where we need to be, that people are not left hanging out in the cold waiting for these goods if they're sitting in the ocean somewhere and they're not being able to be used here in the state of Florida or in Georgia or North Carolina or where people are going to desperately need this. We need to accelerate. We have no time for delays. Biden-Harris has a responsibility to stand up for the storm victims, stand up for the people who've had their homes damaged or who've lost their homes, and make sure they have what they need to get back on their feet.
Now, I can't find a response from the ILA, the head of the ILA, who a lot of people are now calling a mob boss or mafia boss. Again, I don't think anyone saw this. And from their side of things and from Ron DeSantis' side of things, it looks like they either want Joe Biden to intervene or it looks like they want the U.S. government to do something about the ILA's union strike right now. Because look, the strike, they want 70% increase in wages. I don't think anyone on this earth would ever expect 70% increase on wages, but it looks like they're expecting it. They also want the lack of automation. So they're asking for a lot right now, but the issue is, and I think a lot of people are starting to almost turn on the unions here, a lot of people understood, yeah, if you're trying to make that money, make that money. But now you're actually going to be affecting all of these hurricane victims. It's just poor timing. It's bad taste. I'm not trying to give my opinion, but it seems that a lot more people, as I'm doing my research, are sort of turning on this union strike and are saying, look, you guys are hurting all of us. Why would you want a 70% increase? Why didn't you take the 50% increase? Nonetheless, it looks like Ron DeSantis, he's activating the National Guard now to try and at least mitigate these issues.